Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and this is a special edition of Word on the Street with Vacaville Police Chief Rich Word. But with us today is Lieutenant Matt Lydon, and Matt's here today to tell us about some DUI enforcement that's going to take place over the next 2 or 3 weeks leading up to the Labor Day weekend holiday. Matt, thanks for spending some time with us today. So tell us about what's going to happen from Friday through the Labor Day weekend.
Well, we're kicking off a DUI enforcement. It includes 3 checkpoints. It's the end of the summer, which includes the Labor Day weekend. We'll have checkpoints on August 16th, August 23rd, and September 1st.
Now, is there a reason why we let people know we're going to do these checkpoints?
Yes, there's 3 primary reasons we hold checkpoints, and one's for public education, the second is for deterrence, and the third is for public awareness education.
Mm-hmm. So what's the purpose of the DUI checkpoints? Basically, tell us what happens at one of the checkpoints.
Well, it used to be years ago that we'd hold checkpoints and we wouldn't announce that we would have checkpoints. The mindset has changed over the years, and the hope is that we get the word out to the people that are going to be participating in drinking and potentially driving that these checkpoints are in place and there's extra enforcement. The hope is that there's a deterrence, there's an education process, and people get ahead of the game and make a plan.
Now we talk about make a plan. That basically means designated driver?
Correct, or cab, public transportation, designated driver, or simply staying, where you decide to have the beverages. Sure.
Now, give me an idea. What would a typical police department consider a successful DUI checkpoint?
Well, oftentimes it's not measured by you would think it would be measured by the arrest of DUIs or unlicensed drivers, suspended driver's license. That's not the case. What it is we hope that the word gets out in advance notification and people make the decision not to drive. Through that, we gain less collisions, less injury collisions, and possibility of a fatality.
I mean, the fact is people are going to drink, right? That's one thing, but we're trying to convince them to not drive if they do drink, right?
That's correct. That's the ultimate goal.
Okay, now what happens typically at a DUI checkpoint? Police vehicles are out. Give me a scenario of what typically happens.
First of all, there's a lot of planning that goes into a DUI checkpoint. What we do is we do a statistical analysis of a specific location, and that location is based on DUIs, DUI arrests, DUI collisions, and injury collisions. We also include in that data unlicensed drivers and suspended driver's license citations and tows in that area. And we usually plan these locations strategically based on that data, and we do that research of a mile radius of where we're going to have that DUI checkpoint.
So we let people know that we're doing DUI checkpoints, but we don't tell them exactly where they're going to be then, right?
That's correct. We leave the specific location out of it, and we do not make that known until the night of.
Okay, so somebody drives through. I've been through a DUI checkpoint myself. It's funny, you see them all over, you hear about them, but I'd be curious to see how many people have actually gone through. I went through one, Officer comes up, says, have you had anything to drink tonight? Asks you a couple questions. If you haven't, off you go. But let's say someone has had a few drinks and they're behind the wheel. Tell me what happens.
Well, we have advance warning, so you'll know that you're entering a DUI driver's license checkpoint. We have signage and lights, so it should be no surprise by the time you get to the screening line. You'll meet up with several officers. An officer will make contact at the driver's side window. We try to keep the detention minimal. We try to keep it within 30 seconds. The officer will ask for the driver's license, ask how their night is going, ask if they had been drinking or using any drugs, and they try to use their observations to see if there's any objective signs of intoxication.
That always killed me. Have you had anything to drink tonight, or are you on drugs? No. I mean, trained officers can tell right away if somebody's on something, right?
Oftentimes, even the way that the person handles their driver's license, the evasiveness, the odor of alcohol, the bloodshot, watery eyes, the slurred speech, all those come into play for the officer's observation.
Now, let's say someone is driving toward a DUI checkpoint and they see it and they make a U-turn and drive away. Is there any recourse or what happens?
No, we set them up so there's actually a way out of the driver's license DUI checkpoint. However, if you make a legal U-turn, if there's a reason to stop that person, any vehicle code violation, then we can make a stop as we would on any night on the street.
Okay. Yeah, because I often wonder, I mean, if you're not intoxicated and you're not on drugs, you should have no problem going through a DUI checkpoint, right?
We actually have people set up in the line. Oftentimes we use cadets or officers, and at least once a night on a DUI checkpoint we'll get a passenger switching with a driver, so we have those types of situations as well.
Oh boy. So where's all the money for this come from anyway?
A lot of this is funded by the Office of Traffic Safety. We get grant funding for these types of enforcements.
And it's funny, I put the announcement on our Facebook page, and right away somebody says that's illegal. But the fact is, Supreme Court says DUI checkpoints aren't illegal. In fact,
no, they're not illegal. That's a false. A false perception. There's very strict guidelines of how we plan them, how we set them up, and there's a lot that goes into it. And we testify to court later if it results in a DUI arrest of the setup and the planning that goes into it, so we make sure we cover everything in current law and case law.
There's a lot of officers and peripheral folks at these DUI checkpoints. So it's not like, okay, here's an officer, here's some cones, are you drinking? There's a lot of folks involved.
Yes, we typically have the screening officers who make contact with the driver. If there's an issue with the driver's license or not in their possession or signs of intoxication, we actually have the driver exit the vehicle at that time. Another officer will move the vehicle to the field sobriety test area, and that's where we conduct our tests off to the another side of the checkpoint.
So if someone is determined to be under the influence, they're arrested right there on the spot?
That's correct.
And if they have some other violation, could they be arrested for that too, I guess?
Yes. In checking your driver's license status, we'll also check for wants and warrants. We won't do that in the screening line, however. There has to be a reason that we bring you to the field sobriety test or the driver's license check area. And upon that investigation, if something else surfaces, then we can arrest for that as well.
It always kind of amazes me that people seem to be, some people, not a lot of people, but that there's some resistance to the police doing this. When you look at the cost and the potential loss of life involved with someone driving under the influence, it's insane that somebody would have an issue with this. But I guess that's something you deal with all the time in a lot of areas of police work.
Yes. What I try to explain is we go to meetings quarterly. Is to recognize officers that have made a significant amount of DUI arrests. And typically in those meetings, there's a guest speaker, and that guest speaker is usually the family of somebody lost in a DUI crash. And that really drives it home. I try to explain that to the motorist, the reason why. And once you explain that, most people do understand.
Is there anything else you want to add about the upcoming checkpoint?
That they'll be on August 16th. August 23rd and September 1st, and we also have other enforcements planned that involve the Avoid the 11, which is the 11 law enforcement agencies in the county that come together and work in different cities at different times. So don't drink and drive.
Excellent. And if you are out on Labor Day weekend and drinking, designated driver, do the right thing. Thanks for watching.